Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look at how to set up our warning and fail-safe strategies within our Motec M1 programming. Now we have a variety of different things within the firmware package I'm dealing with here, which is a GPRP package, which is the same as the GPR package, and what we can actually have in terms of a warning and a fail-safe. So fail-safe would be when we want to implement a limiter in case there's a condition that's not going to be where we want to run our engine into. It could be something based on oil pressure or lambda being too lean. We have the ability to do this within this specific firmware package. Other firmware packages may have something very similar in terms of what to program for warnings or fail-safe strategies. You'll have to check out what you have available in your specific package. But the concept of what we're teaching here in this training module can be applied to any firmware package with our M1. Let's jump in here and take a look at what we have available and where we can find to program our warning and fail-safe strategies. If we jump from our tuning area here over into our setup, this is the workbook I provided for the training course. We're going to move from our basic window and jump all the way over here to safety 1 and safety 2 windows. So these are where we program both a warning and a fail-safe limiter. How does this actually work? Well, when we're going in and we're setting up a warning option, this would be on a particular channel where we want to have some indication that something may be out of place. A condition might be getting to a concerning range or level, and we want to be warned in the software. We'll find that we can get our warnings. They appear down here in a flashing red bar. We'll find here, we toggle F3, we can see what the status and diagnostic is going to be. That'll be where we find the warning, and I'll demonstrate that here with a couple different variables. So we have a warning option. It'll give us a heads up that there's something that's getting out of range or out of place. Then, if things go even further with that particular channel, we can implement a fail-safe strategy where we want to rev limit the engine to a specific RPM after it meets a specific set of conditions for that particular channel that we want to have as a fail-safe strategy. So looking in our two windows here, we have safety 1 and safety 2. These are going to be where we program both the warning and that fail-safe limiter if we want to implement the limiter. We can find here that we have a lambda safety, ECT or engine coolant temp safety, oil pressure safety, oil temp safety. Going over here, we have fuel pressure safety, inlet air temp safety, fuel injector duty safety, and then engine speed safety. Now, looking at this, we have some redundancy in terms of implementing a fail-safe strategy based around things, if we jump back in here, like our oil temperature or engine coolant temperature, or even our engine speed. These can give us a warning if we're starting to get into a dangerous situation, but we don't necessarily want to implement a rev limiter strategy for a failsafe because we can do that and accomplish the same task under our general limiters found in here. We've talked about this in a separate training module. So when it comes time to implement the limiter for a warning channel or a failsafe channel that's getting out of the conditions, out of safe conditions we want to run it in, consider that you may want to take care of it in here because it's much easier, much more simplistic to deal with it in this area. So things like our general rev limiter, engine coolant temp rev limiter, or oil temp rev limiter for fail-safe strategies, I think are better left to program in here rather than using our safeties in here. So these options, as we just discussed. Now, if you don't want to implement a fail-safe strategy, we simply go to the warning mode and set it to disable. That'll completely disable the channel for any warning strategy or then any engine limiter strategy. Let's look here at how to implement something like our lambda safety, which would be a lean protection. This is a very valuable safety feature. If we get too far past or too much leaner past our desired fuel aim, which is our target lambda, target air fuel, then we want to go and implement some type of a limiter strategy. This just makes sure we can't lean out the engine too much and get into a dangerous condition where we have knocker pre-ignition, might melt the piston, all kinds of bad things will happen. So looking in here, let's turn this on. So we're going to go here into enabled option. The hysteresis will be what amount of lambda that we need to see movement below in order or below or above, depending on our conditions that we program here, past our conditions for the minimum and maximum, meaning we need to see this much of a change in the non-dangerous condition to be able to turn off the warning and turn off the limiter. Now the engine speed limit is something to consider. 4,000 RPM is typically where I'm going to place a lambda safety limiter. So this would be if it triggers the warning channel, and then after a certain period of time, it can go into the limiter. I'm going to set this at 3,000 RPM. because if I'm implementing a Lambda safety, I really only want it in place at full throttle, whether a naturally aspirated or turbocharged engine. 3,000 RPM and higher is getting substantial RPM where I don't want to run the engine potentially lean. This would be where I want to rev limit the engine at. Now the next thing we need to do here is under the warning mode, we need to turn on the exhaust Lambda warning channel. We can see here it's going to be pointing it where it needs to look for that particular Lambda channel when we're referencing our Lambda minimum and Lambda maximum values. So meaning this is going to be the active channel that we're monitoring for this particular Lambda warning or Lambda rev limiter safety type of function. In this case, I have my Lambda sensor set up on just exhaust Lambda, so I'm going to use this option. If you're doing bank 1, bank 2, so you have two separate LTC modules or the dual LTC for both banks, you could set this to both enable. This will look at both banks in terms of your Lambda reading. I just have a single Lambda sensor, so I'm going to use the enable option here just under exhaust Lambda warning. Now what this is going to do is then take a look at our two tables here that we have to go ahead and program for our conditions. Lambda safety minimum and Lambda safety maximum.
Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.